zombie hunters, Mark here again from Zombie Hunt, and today we're going to do something a little bit special. If you can imagine an apocalypse and you've run out of bullets, you've run out of bows, well, what's next? How are you going to fight and fend off all those zombies coming your way? So today we're going to be comparing some big knives. Big knives? Yes, big knives. Really? Yep, they don't come much bigger than this. And I'm not talking about your standard zombie knife either. So when I say a knife, I don't mean a knife. I mean a whacking great big sword. Take this for instance. This is what we call a Nodachi, not to be fooled with a katana. Okay? This is the Japanese long sword, yeah? Essentially like a katana, but a damn sight longer. And we're going to be comparing that against its European equivalent, an actual long sword. We're going to be putting both of these swords through our zombie challenge and seeing which one is our go-to zombie slayer. So first off, let's have a look at our Nodachi zombie slayer. Okay, we'll unsheath it. And if you can have a look at that, just look down that blade. Okay, this particular one is handmade in the traditional way, and you can just about see the clay line there along the blade. So I said not to be confused with a katana, okay, because it's a damn sight longer than a katana. Well, how much longer? Well, I'll put that there for a minute. And here's my katana. Okay. Holding up against the katana there, you can definitely see the difference. Okay. That extra few inches making the difference between life and death in the battlefield if you're taking out a horse-bound opponent. Okay, right, we'll put that there and let's put this katana away for now. Okay, back to the Nodachi. So first things first, let's just see if it is actually sharp. So let's just do a sharpness test against a zombie I prepared earlier. Yeah, you might recognize that dude. He's a horrible zombie leader. Yeah, seriously infected boy. So let's have a go. Where'd it cut? Whoa. Okay. So it does cut through a zombie leader. Okay. Just give it another go. Try not to lose my fingers. Yeah, you can see how sharp that is. Okay, let's get rid of that horrible zombie. So we've demonstrated that that bad boy is actually pretty sharp. Yeah, and in fact, it will cut. Okay. So let's put this potential zombie slayer away for now. And get the long sword out. Okay, well here's our long sword. So the first thing you'll notice about both of these swords is how awkward they are to get in and out of their scabbard or sheath. There's our long sword, just like the knights in Shining Armour used to use back in the day. The advantage that the long sword has straight away over the katana is it's double-edged. Yeah, it's got a cutting edge on both sides, which, depending on the situation, could mean it's faster. Okay, so you can cut one side straight back the other side. You've got kind of more options potentially. First question is though, will it cut? So for our cutting test, we've got another nasty zombie leader. Can you believe it? As if one's not enough, we've got another one. Okay, this bad boy. Another familiar face, yeah? Another horrible zombie leader. So, let's see if our long sword cuts through this. Is it actually sharp? Oof. I think it might be. Yeah, that's pretty sharp to me. But just to be sure, let's try the other edge, shall we? Wait a minute, is that quite as sharp? Let's try and look at the top here. I think it might be. Well, try not to lose my fingers. Right, now let's see. I think that passes our sharpness test. Okay, so it's all right slicing through bits of paper, but what about if you're faced with 12 zombies in front of you, yeah? Which sword will you have the confidence in? So we're gonna get both of these bad boys and see which one comes out on top at decapitating 12 zombies. And in order to do that, we're gonna seek the help of our resident Ninja Nun. Ninja Nun? Yes, Ninja Nun. What the heck? Who's the Ninja Nun? And the Nodachi slices through all 12 zombies, decapitating them all in just one cut.
It will kill.
Now for the long sword. Ooh, not quite as good as the Nodachi. Let's give it another go. Is that just the technique of our Ninja Nun, or does the blade have a part to play in that? Okay, certainly got some cutting power, that's for sure. Wait a minute, we forgot the other edge. How does that cut? Just like butter.
It will also kill.
Okay, well thanks to our Ninja Nun, we can clearly see that the Nodachi wins 12 zombies in one slice. That's a bit of right first slice. Now let's look at some other practicalities around the Nodachi, shall we? So the first thing to comment on when you've got it in your hand is its balance, okay? This sword feels particularly well balanced, okay? Even though it's a long blade, there's a good weight distribution with the handle and the blade. Okay, it doesn't feel like it's kind of top heavy, yeah? It feels particularly agile. So when you're using a long bladed sword like this, particularly indoors, you've got to be careful of what's above you, yeah? What you don't want to be doing is slicing through your ceiling, beams, or even slicing through your light fittings, okay? So very limited in its striking ability and slicing ability indoors. What you'll notice when you compare the two between a Nodachi and a longsword, the blade feels much more rigid and much more precise. In terms of its cutting ability, the curvature of the blade definitely has a part to play. So one thing that's apparent with the Nodachi is it actually gives you some nice feedback when you execute a cut correctly, so that you've got the angle of the blade precise as you cut towards your target. As an example, if I go like that, you can't hear anything. That's because the angle of my blade as I'm slicing down isn't correct. It's not perfectly horizontal to the direction that I'm cutting, okay? So if you get it slightly off, you don't get the feedback, okay? I'll just demonstrate that again faster, okay? You can hardly hear anything. Whereas if you get the blade perfectly horizontal, it will actually give you some nice feedback and let you know that your technique is good to kill. As an example. Okay, let's try that again. There you go. Okay, so that's the Nodachi. The other thing, obviously, the back part of the blade is dull and blunt, unlike the long sword. But again, that could be to your advantage. So you can use the blade like so to thrust into your opponent, to bring it through, okay, and cut in that way. So that can be used to your advantage, actually in battle, to get more leverage in the sword. Right, so that's the Nodachi. Let's have a look at some practicalities of the long sword. The other thing that's apparent from the Nodachi, it's a lot easier to sheathe than the long sword due to that blunt edge on the back. So some practicalities of the long sword. Well, first thing to note, it's definitely a lot heavier. Yeah, as you'd imagine. Let's unsheath it. Now, in all fairness, just like the Nodachi, the long sword, this particular one is very well balanced. Okay, so that end of that sword doesn't feel top heavy at all. So it's quite agile, even with it being the beast that it is. Okay, so practicalities. Well, first instance, you've also got the functionality of the extended grip. Okay, that can give many advantages. Almost lends itself as a spear. So that's a better part if you wanted to throw it as a spear at your zombie. Get some more leverage to use it as a staff. Okay. The other thing that's nice about that is you can hold it and conceal it a lot better. So holding it like so, zombies approaching me, I'm ready to kind of slice and dice the minute they can come near. Like so. So unlike the Nodachi, you don't really get the same feedback when you execute the perfect angle on the blade to optimize cutting. It's just a small whistle, okay? The long sword has some other features that can come in quite handy when being pounced upon by zombies. Imagine one just jumped in, up close and personal, too late to kind of pull back your sword. What do? They're right there in front of you. Well, man, take him out with a sword guard. Yeah, and stand back and then finish him off. I mentioned before, the extended grip works nicely to get leverage around. You've also got the pommel on the end of the sword, which could be advantageous in close quarter battle, okay? So all in all, along with its double-edged cutting ability, there's a lot more options when slaying zombies. But when it comes down to it, which sword would I pick up in front of a horde of zombies if I had to choose between one or the other? The Nodachi being easier to control, having a cleaner slice, and potentially more agile, or the more adaptable long sword. Tough question, but in all honesty, has to be the long sword. Yeah, by a quarter mile. Mainly because the adaptability of the other features. So there you have it, folks. When it comes to battle and you're faced with a horde of ravenous zombies coming your way, the go-to zombie hunter sword is the long sword. So that's it for now, folks. Don't forget to click a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
For now, remember the 3 rules of zombie hunt. Stay safe, slice safe, and be safe.